We're going to start in Colombia. What can you tell us about this coal mine explosion there? It sounds like 9 people have died.
Yeah, that's what we understand. So we understand as well 6 miners have been rescued in hospital, but they're still working to retrieve the bodies of those 9 dead, as you mentioned. It happened north of Bogota, an explosion caused by a buildup of gases in this coal mine there. Now, we understand as well the coal mine was inspected a month ago. The issue was warned about and a list of recommendations was given. Now, whether or not these were acted on, I'm sure that's all going to form part of the investigation. But indeed, this is a common issue. Many mines in Latin America in general are informal. They're not necessarily subjected to the same kind of proper standards that we're used to. And we have seen similar things like this. Last July, for example, 18 miners were rescued. They were trapped in a gold mine there, an unlicensed gold mine, for almost a full day because of mechanical failure. And we also saw just a couple of years ago as well, about 21 people dying in the same area as this specific explosion due to another explosion caused by a buildup of methane gas. So certainly showing some of the real dangers that many of these miners face because of this very unlicensed, sprawling mining industry, particularly in South America.
Yeah. Elsewhere, Katie, China has called out the US over its sanctions on Cuba. What are the details on this?
Yeah, so basically they're saying that the measures in place are illegal, and to quote Beijing, they say that they seriously violate the norms of international relations. Now, this comes after we've seen President Trump signing an executive order on Friday, according to sources, that extends US sanctions against Cuba. Now, President Trump has previously said that he'll take Cuba and install a new leader, similar to what we have seen from the US in Venezuela. But of course, Cuba being communist means that it has been a long-term ally of China, which has seen it support it this year. Of course, it has been subjected to a very harsh embargo from the US, particularly restricting its access to fuel, that bringing the country to the brink of humanitarian crisis. We also heard from Beijing encouraging or urging the US to immediately end this embargo. We're also at the same time hearing from the US Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who's of course of Cuban origin. He's due to meet the Pope in 2 days. And we understand as well, as part of those conversations, we're going to hear a plea from the US to discuss whether or not the Catholic Church might be able to deliver additional humanitarian aid on the behalf of the US to Cuba. Now, that's subject to the Cuban government accepting this, and that is, we understand, is going to form a part of this conversation. But as I say, Cuba being brought to the brink of this humanitarian crisis. We've heard that from the Catholic Church as well. And Marco Rubio also, at the same time, reiterating that having this adversary on the US's doorstep only 90 miles away isn't possible, and that continuing that would be, to quote him, an unacceptable status quo. So certainly tensions continuing to heat up, and we have heard that from President Trump in recent weeks.
Yeah, it won't be the last we hear on that.